This is episode 15 of the Maritime Gardening Podcast, and I'm joined again here with Greg. How you doing, Greg?
Very good.
Good. And if you were just listening to episode 14, you'll know that this is a continuation of episode 14, which was saving seeds. So we are going to jump right back into the discussion and enjoy.
So when are they ready? Well, I'm going to talk about biennials right now, because that's what seems to be happening in my garden. I put a few pictures up on our Maritime Gardening Facebook page, examples of that this morning. So let's talk about kale. So I had a couple nice kale plants last year. This is red Russian kale, and so I left a couple of them in the ground and decided to let them go to seed. And around, April, May, they started growing. They started, it looked like the plant was dead, but then just life started coming up out of the roots and they started growing. Well, they grew and they get very high. So there's a picture there of my kale plant. It's probably between 3 and 4 feet high.
Yeah.
And it's got all these bean-like pods sticking out of it. There's all these pods everywhere. It'll grow very fast and very high. And then it'll have all kinds of flowers. I can't remember if they were yellow or white. All kinds of little flowers, like many flowers, hundreds of flowers all over the plant. And then, of course, that's good because that brings it's one of the first things that brings pollinators into your garden. You'll have bees and flies and all kinds of different things wanting to get at those little flowers. And of course, if they're around, they're going to go to other things in your garden that need pollination. But then you'll see these pods grow. When the pods are young, you can actually eat them and cook them almost like a bean. There's lots of recipes online for kale pods. But on any given plant, it has to be just the right stage of the pod's life. There's a point where they're woody and they're not good anymore. So you have to be fairly choosy. But the thing is, you've got a lot of seed pods on that plant, a ridiculous number. One plant will give you enough pods to plant like a field of kale.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I counted this morning with my son. I took one of those pods and broke it open on a piece of loose leaf. And it had one pod, which was probably 3 inches long. I'd say 3 inches long. It had 25 seeds in it.
Wow.
So a pack of seeds tends to have 50.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe 100. So that's like 2-3 pods.
Wow.
Right? So that's all you're getting. And the plant I've got, if you look at the picture,
it's massive.
Looks like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, it does.
A lot of pots.
An ugly Christmas tree. But nonetheless, you're right.
I was going to say a Christmas tree from another planet.
Yeah. But it does.
It's kind of alien and weird looking. So how do you know they're ready? Well, what'll happen is the plant will grow really big and really tall and really high, and then all those pods will come up, and the pods will get bigger and fatter and swell up, and then they'll start to turn color. They'll go from green to brown, blonde brown color. And once they're changing that color, and you'll notice because when you snap one off, it'll just break open and all the seeds will come out. Right? The ones that aren't ready, when you break it open, it's wet and there's a juice in there, and the seeds aren't black. Most plants that bear their seeds in pods, I would say it's the same thing. They got to be sort of they'll go from being green to being a sort of browny green, brown color, or blonde. They'll start losing that green color, and that's when that's when the plant's ready to be harvested as a seed source. So once that really starts happening, and I mean the pods that happen first, they're going to be ready first. Yeah. And the pods that, there's still pods that I still have a couple flowers on some of these. So ideally you want to wait till all the flowers are gone and you've got a good number of those sort of good big fat pods. And then you just cut the thing off at the base and then take it and get it somewhere out of the rain. It's good to have it out of the light, but not necessarily essential. But get it out of the rain and hang it upside down and leave it like that for a few weeks so that it can dry out.
Yeah.
And then once it's, let's say it's dried, some of you do it maybe, so you do it now and just forget about it till September or something, right?
Yeah.
Check it after a few weeks and see how dry it is, and if it's, you can tell because if you snap a pod off, it'll rattle. Seeds will
Mm-hmm.
rattle inside the
Yep.
pod. So once that's the case, then you're going to look at that huge pile of pods, and you're going to pick the biggest, fattest pods.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't take all of them. Some of them are, losers.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to sound like Donald Trump here. You want winners.
yeah. But it's true.
Believe me, you want winners.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Multi-talented guy.
exactly. Um, they'll be huge. All right, enough Donald Trump.
Huge. Huge kale.
Huge. So, pick the big fat pods
Yeah.
and forget about the other ones and pick a good number of them, right?
Yeah.
But you don't need all of them. You don't need 10,000 kale seeds
No.
unless you're going to supply the province with seeds,
Yeah.
which would be a great thing to do. You'd be a wonderful person for doing that, but I'm not doing it.
No.
So, pick the best looking, biggest, fattest pods and put them in a little bowl. And then just, some evening when you're sitting in front of television watching TV, you just sit down and put a blanket down or something that you can, and just break open those pods and break all the seeds out, and just put them in a little Ziploc bag or a little container, and mark them what they are, because you're gonna, kale seeds look like mustard seeds, and a lot of different kinds of seeds that look very similar. Mark the year, and plant them next year, right? And then you've got really good viable seeds because they're only a year old. They came from a plant that was successful with your growing conditions. They came from a successful plant, and then plant them and save a lot because you don't want to have to be judicious when you're sowing your seeds. You want to just put a lot of them out, and you want to just weed out the ones that, and also you can give them to people that want them. So that's how they're ready. Also, like if it's a plant like a kale, it'll start to want to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have a huge stalk show up, then a bunch of flowers, and then the flowers will become pods, and then the thing will start like, I can't take. I'm falling. I'm old, and I want to die. The plant's done, right? It doesn't have the strength to survive the wind and the rain. It'll just start to want to fall down. So, if you're sort of thinking about it, it's a natural progression of things. The seeds need to get in the ground anyway. The plant needs to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
So once that plant looks like it's sort of done and it's falling down anyway, and the pods are starting to change color, it's ready.
Mm-hmm.
So just cut it off and hang it upside down. The same thing with a plant like a different sort of plant, different sort of seed type. Because I was just speaking about kale, but really I was using it as an example for a plant that bears its seeds in pods. Right? Like a bean has pods, peas have pods, but so they all sort of follow the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Same with a pea. Like if you've been growing pea, my peas are still producing right now, but if you're in a hot area and your peas were earlier than mine, your peas might be getting done right now.
Yeah.
So when your peas are close to being done, stop picking them and leave them. And once that pea gets really big and really fat and really woody, and you see it start to change color, just cut those stalks off and hang them somewhere and let them dry out, and then get the little peas out of the pods and put those aside, and you've got peas for next year. Right? And you don't need a couple dozen peas will make a lot of peas. So you don't need to. You basically skip one meal of peas, and you'll get a ridiculous number of pea seeds, and then you've got your peas for next year. Or if you were a pioneer, I mean, there's different kinds of. We tend to like peas that are juicy and sweet, and we eat them in the pod. Like I like sugar snap peas. I don't like snow peas so much. Sugar snap peas seem to be easier to deal with from a harvesting point of view, in my opinion. But in the old days, before refrigeration, a pea was a thing. It was being grown for the pea, not for the pod.
Right.
They would save all of those peas and dry them, so that in the winter you could boil them and make mushy peas or peas porridge or some sort of that would keep you from starving to death. Right. So I mean, traditionally, that's peas and beans. That's the main reason you grew those things wasn't to have,
No.
fresh Thai salad.
No. It was so you did not die in the winter months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, uh, anyway, that's peas. But
Interesting.
what about a different kind of seed? So I'll use a parsnip as an example. Um, a parsnip has a flower much like a Queen Anne's lace,
Mm-hmm.
sort of. Actually, if you pull a Queen Anne's lace out of the ground and smell the root, it smells very similar to parsnip.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can eat them. I, I wouldn't suggest that. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
poisonous.
Get back to us on that.
If there's no show next week,
You know.
bad
Yeah.
idea.
I'll update the Facebook page. Don't worry.
Show's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Queen Anne's lace root smells like that. So when
Yeah.
a parsnip, again, that's a biennial plant. I like to save parsnip seeds. I saved
Mm-hmm.
my parsnip seeds last year, and I should put a picture up. I did not do this, but I have my parsnip looks great. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
over 2 feet high,
Mm-hmm.
and the crowns, some of them are already 2 inches in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even bother. I've learned this over the years. Parsnip's a beautiful plant to grow, beautiful plant to eat. Um, like if you gave me the choice over parsnip over a carrot, it wouldn't be even competitive. A parsnip,
Mm.
roasted parsnip, is way better than a carrot.
I must try your parsnips sometime.
It's so good. We can. My wife, I gorge on them. But I have learned that, in September you've got parsnips that are big and they're ready to eat. Resist the urge to pick them
Mm.
because they're still good in September, but once the ground starts freezing and the snow starts coming and the frost starts, that's when they start becoming really good to eat.
Hmm.
That's when they're good. And they're good. And same with the carrot, for that matter. Carrots, like you can plant a variety of carrot that's sweet. Like I've got Nantes Scarlet in my garden. It's sort of a short, fat kind. It's not a long,
Mm-hmm.
narrow kind like an Imperator, but they're very sweet. But they're even sweeter. And carrots are biennial, just like parsnips. They're even sweeter in the fall. And that's because in the fall, once the ground starts freezing, that root starts to it needs to change how it's put together. It needs to change its own chemistry to survive the winter.
Hmm.
And it does that by changing its composition from one of a starch to one of a sugar. So it starts converting the root, which is the part you eat,
Yeah.
starts becoming much more sugary and less starchy,
Hmm.
which makes it taste a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's how it's somehow, like however the structure of the cellulose is. I'm not an expert on this sort of stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
your mouth is the ultimate expert, and
Yeah.
trust me. Around Thanksgiving, that's when we harvest our first parsnips, and we eat parsnips at least once a week. I'll roast a whole pan of them,
Yeah.
Sunday dinner type thing, a whole pan.
Interesting. They were one of my least favorite vegetables when I was a kid.
How did your parents prepare them?
I have no idea,
I
but
hated them too as a kid.
apparently not as good as you do it. So I'm gonna have to come for dinner.
You cut them up and toss them with some olive oil and a bit of salt and pepper, and it really doesn't need much more than that. You just roast them
Yeah.
like you'd roast a potato. You cut up
Yeah.
roast potatoes in the oven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, my wife and I just eat. Our kids
Awesome.
won't even touch them. Our kids won't touch these things, but we like half a cookie sheet's worth of these things in a sitting. And then I'm sort of at them in the evening when no one's looking. I'll eat more. I can't stay out of them. They're that good.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're really good. Anyway, when that thing goes to seed, it has a flower, like a Queen Anne's lace flower, this sort of open round flower, a whole bunch of them. And again, that parsnip, parsnips get from, when they're fully mature, the first season, they're a couple feet high.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes back the second year, this biennial, that thing goes up almost about 6 feet high. It's this huge, it's one of the first things that comes up in your garden, and you've got this huge looking thing in your garden. No one knows what it is. And that's a parsnip gone to flower, right?
Mm.
And so when on earth do I harvest those? Well, it grows a seed that looks like a celery seed, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, in a floret. But first you have a flower, and then you'll have this all these little bulby seeds start growing at the base of each flower. Don't worry if it gets covered in flies and aphids and things like that. Trust me, every year my parsnip flowers get covered in aphids. I don't know why. But then within days of the aphids showing up, there's ants everywhere, and the ants get rid of them somehow.
Hmm.
It all seems to just work
Interesting.
itself out. Some of the flowers don't make it, but the vast majority do. First time I did this, I was out there spraying with insecticidal soap, and don't worry about aphids and things like that. They're all, I don't know why, but the aphids seem to love the flowers. But as soon as they show up, at least in my garden, other things will show up that take them out. For me,
Hmm.
it's ants. There's ants everywhere,
There's a
and
lot of
they're not
ants
a
this year.
problem. I never understand when I go to garden centers and they'll have like pesticides you can use for ants. My gardens are full of ants. They've never been a problem on any one of my plants.
Hmm.
Never. I mean, if they're in amongst the strawberries, it's because they're eating stuff that's at your strawberries.
Interesting. Must be
If
to keep them out of your house because I know it's a bad year this year for
they don't in
ants.
the house, uh, but in the garden, I don't like. Usually, you'll see them near plants that are having problems, and you'll say it must be those ants.
Hmm.
But usually, they're more like a white blood cell.
Okay.
Um, when your doctor finds a high white blood cell count, not because your white blood cells are killing you, it's because they're saving you because
Yeah.
something else is wrong. It's the same
Right.
thing. Usually, at least in
Right.
my experience, ants have never been a problem. They're dealing with
Interesting.
the problem.
Yeah.
So they're like a, uh, United UN task force.
Interesting. Hey.
I'm out
Well,
of nowhere when there's a
that's good
problem.
to know. Good to know.
So don't worry about the that. So those seeds will start to swell up until they're about the size of uh, I'm trying to think of a good analogy to the size of a. It's bigger than a celery seed. I'm not even sure how many people know what a celery seed even looks like.
Well,
Um, about the size when they're full size, they look like a wheat berry. Does everybody know what a wheat berry looks like? Um, trying to think of something that's that size. That's uh, okay. Let's just say they're about 2 millimeters wide and 3 millimeters long. Okay,
okay.
at least when they're swelled up.
Yeah.
Once they dry, they become much more flat. So they won't have a diameter anymore. They're just like a flat
Huh.
thing. They swell up. They're fat at first, and then as they dry, they get a little flatter. Anyway, it's just like with the kale. Those seeds will start to change color and go from being green to
Mm-hmm.
a sort of browny blonde color.
Mm-hmm.
Once that starts happening, then that's when you should start thinking, I'm going to have to cut that down and hang it soon. And
Yeah.
that's where mine are right now. And they're also starting to want to fall down. Like mine fell down and I propped them back up. Full
Mm.
disclosure, I propped them back up with a stick so I could take the picture this morning. They'd be down if it wasn't for that stick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
sort of tied them so you couldn't see,
Yeah.
but they're actually not up; they're down.
You
So
sneaky.
they're falling down. So they're telling me, "Look, man, get me out of it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Can't take it anymore." So it's time to cut them off and hang them upside down. And then you just hang them upside down until leave them about a month or at least a few weeks until they're all really dry. You'll know they're ready because if you just hit your hand against the plants that are hanging upside down, seeds will start falling off of them.
Mm.
Right. So really, when most seeds most plants they scatter their seeds either through animals eating it and it
Mm.
coming out the other end
Oh
somewhere else,
yeah. Yeah.
or from wind and rain, knocking the seeds out of the plant. So when a plant's ready to lose its seeds, it's when just about any sort of jostling was going to knock the seed out of the plant.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
you know it's ready to come out.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. Once that's happening, you just take that. It's a bit different. You wouldn't want to deal with parsnip, for example, and carrot would be the same thing, because they're very similar life cycle and a very similar way of going to seed. You're going to take that whole bush that you've hung upside down, and you're going to put a tarp or a big piece of an old bed sheet on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Shake it over the bed sheet.
Mm.
The seeds will just go everywhere, all over the place, and then just gather it up and pour them in a jar, and then you've got a few thousand parsnip seeds for the following year,
Mm.
right? So
Cool.
that's how you do that.
Nice.
And we'll talk more as the season progresses about things like beans and peas and tomatoes and so on. But
Cool.
all of these things, a little trial and error, you can figure it out yourself. But the whole reason I'm doing this show is so people don't have to figure it out that way. They
Yeah.
can try it this year, and so you put it in a jar and then save it for the next year. Put it somewhere cool, dry, mark the year and the date, and that's all you need to do.
Nice.
And there's other things we can talk about, like tomatoes and beans and peas and stuff like that. But they're all very similar. I mean, for a pea or a bean, you leave it on the stalk until it's become big and really woody.
Mm-hmm.
Usually with beans, for me anyway, I love eating beans. I love green beans, and same with peas.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of them. But at some point in the year, I've really eaten so much, I have had enough. So that's a good point to just stop picking them and just let the plant go to seed.
Yeah.
Right? If you got a bean or a pea that's producing peas, if you want to get as many peas out of it as possible, you want to keep picking those,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't put any more energy in it. If you leave peas on your pea plant, the plant thinks, okay, I'm going to put everything into the peas that are here so they can be good viable seeds from next year, because that plant's an annual. It's got one shot at perpetuating its existence, right? Human beings are the only things on earth that opt out of perpetuating their existence. Everything else is trying to, that's the whole game, is how do I keep this thing going here?
Yeah.
So if there's a pea on that plant, the plant's going to, okay, that one made it, nothing ate it, I'm going to put everything into those seeds so they've got all the good stuff for next time.
Yeah.
So if you pick that pea, it says, oh, I better make some more peas. Yeah, so for a pea, keep picking them if you want them as food, but once you want to save seeds, just leave them alone. Let that plant put all the energy it can into those pods and wait till the pods are big, and you'll be able to tell. It'll start being like all the other pod plants. The pod will stop being green and start turning browny blonde,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you could get it off of there, get it out of the weather, let it dry out. Then you can, leave it a couple weeks somewhere dry and store it. The same with a bean, same thing. Tomatoes a little bit different, or all those plants that sort of have the seeds inside the juicy fruit. Because tomato is really a fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
The squash, same sort of thing. It's this sort of juicy fruit type thing. So with them, normally when you're picking a squash, you're picking the squash when it's a bit immature. Certainly summer squash, that's the case. You don't pick it when the seeds are fully mature. So if you had a zucchini, which is a summer squash, the seeds typically aren't mature when you're going to pick that zucchini to eat. So if you got a really nice plant, you just let that zucchini get, take a couple zucchini off of it. But if you got a beautiful plant that seemed to outgrow all the other ones, take a couple of zucchini from that plant and then let the rest of them grow. And let them they'll get big. They'll get like, geez, they might even be 2 feet long, right?
Wow.
Huge zucchini, right?
Yeah.
And let them just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow until the plant dies. And then take that plant off and store it somewhere for a week or so, and then open it up and take the seeds out just like you were taking pumpkin seeds out. The way I do is I'll put all those seeds on a piece of paper towel.
Yeah.
And just let them dry out for a few days, and then just roll the paper towel up, put it in a bag, and mark it. And then, because sometimes the seeds sort of stick to the paper towel.
Yeah.
And that's not a big deal. You don't rip them off of that. You just sort of cut around it. You stick them in the ground. You just plant them with a piece of paper towel stuck to them.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Any squash is like that. If you're winter squash, you don't have to do that right away. You can store your winter squash like a pumpkin or a acorn squash. Those are all squashes that you can store somewhere for maybe even months if you've got the right storage conditions. So maybe in November or so, you would take that seed out. Same thing, you dry it out and save it. Tomato, you take the seeds out and you put them on a piece of paper. Tomato, the seeds are all in this slime. So you take the seeds out and you just spread them over a piece of loose leaf or something.
Yeah.
And the slime will sort of dry into the loose leaf, and they'll stick right onto it. But when you want to plant them, you just cut them out. You don't try to pick them off because you might hurt the seed. You just cut it off. Cut that little piece of paper with the seed and plant that. It'll be fine.
Cool.
So one other thing I wanted to talk about, and I had a picture of this on Facebook, just one thing I wanted to end with, is the issue of what good soil is. Because I did an experiment in my garden where I planted 2 zucchini beds at the same time, same zucchini. And they both have mulch, so they're both the way I like to do my gardens. One of those gardens is pure horse manure. The other garden is organic garden soil bought from a garden center. $40 a yard. Okay? So, and I'm not talking topsoil, which is not very good. This is organic gardening soil from the garden center.
Right.
And if you look at the 2 pictures, you'll see that the plants growing in horse manure are 2-3 times the size of the ones growing in the garden soil.
Interesting.
Garden soil, $40 a yard. Horse manure costs nothing.
Yeah.
So an example of, let's say you did some gardening this year and you're going to garden next year. I would suggest to you that, and this is what I do, is you're probably going to, if you're anything like me, you're going to want to have a bit more garden next year.
Yeah.
Well, build your garden beds in the fall. Don't do it in the spring. And I mean, I'm talking you can do this in November when there's not a lot left to do, right?
Yeah.
In November, there's not a lot of gardening to do other than a few things left to harvest.
Yeah.
So it's nice and cool. It's not raining. It's not freezing. The temperature's just right to go outside and do some physical work like that, shoveling and all that sort of stuff. Why would you want to be doing that in the middle of May with the black flies and all that heat and all that sort of stuff? Expand your garden. Think about doing that part of the gardening when it's the right time to do it. Fall's a great time to be outside doing physical work. It's just it's a good time to be outside. So if you're thinking you enjoyed your gardening this year and you'd like to expand your garden a little bit, build your new garden bed in like November and go to a place where you can get horse manure for next to nothing. Just look on Kijiji. You'll see all kinds of stables trying to get rid of this stuff. And just go there and fill that thing up. Don't buy soil. Horse manure is soil. Okay?
Interesting.
Horse manure is soil.
Yeah.
It's the only manure that has that quality. Most manures are too strong. They're too rich with things, and things can't really. It takes a number of years for them to age and be ready to be good growing mediums. But horse manure it's not. It doesn't have ridiculously high counts of your nitrogen and your other minerals. So horse manure, for all the ways that matter, it is soil. It just happens to be very cheap soil and very good for growing in. Might be a bit weedy, but it's not a huge problem. You pick those weeds once and then that's done.
Cool. All right, awesome. That was part 2 of Saving Seeds, episode 15. If you want to check the show notes and follow along there, maritimegardening.com/015. And awesome. Thanks, Greg. Another good one under the belt. And thanks for listening.
Thank you. See you next time. Try Saving Seeds. You won't regret it.